Talk. All right. Welcome everyone to the first Club 21 talk. I am the chair of the club, but I'm also your speaker today, Michael Whitehouse, the guy who knows a guy. And what we're going to be talking about today is friendly follow-up. So friendly follow-up is the thing you do after you meet lots of people through networking. So if you're an effective networker, especially now in the future, you are probably meeting a lot of people. You can visit a BNI group anywhere in the world. There's all kinds of other virtual networking groups. Different chambers of commerce are doing networking groups. You're on LinkedIn, you're here and there. It is, following a fairly simple formula, you can meet 5, 10, 15 people a week, possibly even more, depending on how active you're doing. So if you meet 10 people a week, for those of you who are not good at math, I'll do the math for you. If you take 2 weeks off, you meet 500 people a year. Now, who thinks that they can, the old-fashioned way through phone calls and personal emails, maintain relationships with 500 people? Show of hands. Anyone can do that? Nope. Okay. Looks like no, because that would be your full-time job. That'd just be all you'd do. You would do nothing else but maintain these relationships. And some people are totally worth picking up the phone and calling every week. And some people, you want to keep them around, you want to stay connected with them, but there's no reason to talk to them every week. Maybe a text message. And so what I'm going to talk about is a system which allows you to stay engaged with people without having to put a lot of energy into it. It's kind of, maintaining a passive connection to do that. Now, I'm not going to be talking about CRMs and being super organized, because you probably hear systems about, okay, well, you got to have a system that's got a follow-up system that makes sure that you are sending a box of brownies to everyone within 29 days after you meet them, and then 47 days after that you're going to do this, and blah, blah, blah. And there are ways to do that. I believe actually Send Out Cards has a system, and if you like that idea, I am technically a Send Out Cards affiliate, although I've never actually been active in that. I did get signed up as Send Out Cards affiliate. So if you like that, they have a system for that, and I can totally introduce you to that. But that is not what I do, because that is organization, and organization is not my jam. Technology and having robots do work for me, that's my jam. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. So the first step is having an email list, because email is the method I use for doing this. Now, you can use social media, but the problem with social media is you don't control it. So you can have all the friends in the world on Facebook, but it all depends on the whims of Zuckerberg and his company if any of your friends will see anything you post. You can have all the connections in the world on LinkedIn, and it all depends on the whims of the algorithm if anyone will ever see anything you post. Now, email is somewhat dependent on algorithms as well, but the algorithms are controlled by the people receiving the email, at least in theory. So there's certain things you can do. For example, if you are getting a list, you're getting emails from someone and they keep ending up in your promotions tab, if you reply to that email, then it's more likely it will come to your primary tab in the future, because Gmail will say, oh, you replied to that. That must be a person you talked to. So we're going to be happy to do that. Whereas, and often spam filters have saying, most of the spam filters are so automated you can't control them anymore. But at least you can go into the spam box and click not spam on a piece of email and recover that. Whereas nothing will fix the 3% organic reach of a Facebook page, because that's what that's how they want it to be. So email is the tool that I use, and the reason why most of you are here. So the proof, in case you're wondering, like, Michael, does this work? Well, if you're listening to me, it probably does, because you probably got an email from me, and then you probably replied to it and said, yes, I'd like to do that. And I said, good, come to this Zoom call at this time. And the end result of all I'm about to teach you is why you're listening to me right now. So does it work? It works on people like you. So if you want to connect with people like yourself, then it probably works. So the first thing is to have an email list. And a lot of people out there are like, well, should I have an email list? Do I need an email list? I mean, I've got a Facebook page, or I've got lead generation. When we think of an email list, we often think of not quite spam, but almost spam. Those things that you sign up for on purpose, and then you start getting them, and you're like, okay, thanks, I already got a mortgage. I don't need to get another mortgage. I still get emails from the mortgage company my mortgage guy used to work for, reminding me that they're available for all my mortgage needs. I don't have mortgage needs. I need one mortgage and I have one mortgage. We're done. They're not providing value. They're just selling. And it's like the guy, I believe Ned Ryerson, if I recall correctly, from Groundhog Day, if anyone remembers that movie. He's the guy that Bill Murray's character hasn't seen since high school, who says, "Hey, Ned Ryerson, remember me? I sell life insurance. Let me tell you about the life insurance I sell." Within 30 seconds of conversation, he's selling life insurance at him. Nobody wants that. Whatever it is, nobody wants to be sold to. So the other way to use email instead of selling is to use it like your own personal social media platform, which is basically what it is. Think about what is social media. Social media is pretty much, it's a way to get a message out to people that you want to reach. And you put a message there, you hope people are going to see it, and then you hope they engage with it. Well, an email list is the same way. It's a list of people that you've curated that you can send messages out to in different ways. There's some things it can do that social media can't, some things it can't do that social media can. But basically, it works pretty much the same way. And you want to put content that people want to be happy to see. So you're rarely happy to see a sales pitch. You are often happy to see a story, a piece of advice, being informed of an event that's happening, especially if it's presented in an interesting way, not just come to my event. It is on Friday at 2. You should be there. Okay, why? Who are you? What's going on? What's this email about? I suspect for most of you, I'm not the only person who sends you emails on a regular basis. So you send an email as if you're sending it to a person. Now, if you're organized, unlike me, if you're organized and you have your avatar zeroed in, you know exactly, your ideal client is between 37 and 42 years old and between 200 and 214 pounds, likes watching The Simpsons, but doesn't like Seinfeld. And if your avatar is zeroed in that much, then you basically write an email to your avatar as if they were a person, because if everyone on your email list is in your avatar group, they're all going to respond to it the same way, more or less. There are different points in life, but you think of it that way. If you're not that zeroed in, just kind of think of people. And what do people want to hear? What do you want to share with people? What do you want them to know? What might they be interested in? And if you're not sure, you can ask questions. One thing, and I'm somewhat embarrassed it took me this long to learn about it, is writing emails, not just get people to click on them. And the clicking is obvious because most of the platforms are built around clicks and click-through rates and whatnot, but getting people to reply to them. And that's a little more complicated and a little bit less robotic and a little more human, but putting something in there about, I'm thinking about this thing. Who likes it? Who wants to do it? And then they reply. This does a few things. One, it gets you into a conversation potentially. Many of you sent me back an email when I said, I'm thinking about doing my talk from Wednesday on Friday. What do you think? And you said, yeah, that'd be great. And then I replied and said, good, here's the Zoom link. But it also means if you reply, then it's telling your email system that you want to get these messages, and they're more likely to show up in your primary box than your promotions box. So, if you want my emails back in the promotions folder, you messed it up, you're gonna have to manually put them back there. But so all of you are gonna get to see my emails in your primary box, probably. But it's all about kind of creating that content. And so an interesting phenomenon will happen when you do this long enough, which is I will get replies from people and clicks from people, and I don't remember who they are. Now, almost everyone on my email list I met personally. I don't have a lot of lead generation. So it may have been a Facebook conversation once and they signed up for the Morning Motivation Podcast, something. But I had some engagement with everyone on that list. But it will happen all the time that I'll get a response from someone and I will say, who the heck is this person? I have no idea. In that way, it becomes just like social media. Part of the idea of social media is discoverability, that when you put something on Facebook, somebody might share it, somebody else might see it, it might go out past your immediate awareness. Same thing with a good email list. If you're adding people to it on a regular basis, they're going to, you're going to start getting responses from people that they know you because they're reading your emails regularly, and you can't remember who they are. I remember who all of you are, but you can't remember, who this person is, and it's kind of one of my favorite memes is from Mastermind, where the hero guy goes, "Thank you, random citizen." You sort of feel that way. Someone's like, "This is a great post." You're like, "You're great too, you." But it's a great thing because it means I'm maintaining this this soft contact with people for, and sometimes I'll look back on the records and I'll see they signed up for the list, 14 months ago. And sometimes even they signed up for the list 14 months ago. They didn't open an email for 9 months. And then one day they were digging through their promotions tab and they're like, oh, Michael Whitehouse. Yeah, that guy knows a guy. Oh yeah, let me look at this. Oh, let me open it. Oh, let me look at the next one. And so they may not even look at the emails for months and months and months. And then they come back, but it still creates that soft connection. So the platform I personally use is something called InfluencerSoft. It's a more advanced platform. It does not just emails, but you can do courses and products and funnels and the whole thing. If you just want to do emails, you can do something free like MailChimp. MailChimp is free up to 2,000 contacts and 12,000 emails a month, unless they changed it, which is fully sufficient for anything you might want to do. It's a perfectly good platform. If you want to do simple free emails, you can put in embed videos and YouTube videos and whatever you want to do. The more advanced platforms like Kartra and InfluencerSoft and Fusionsoft, those are if you want to do the fancy stuff or you want to host a course or something like that. And those can be pretty good. But so that is the one key tip I'm going to share in the 10 minutes I have here, is to use email as a way to passively engage with people so that when the time comes that they need you for something, or you might have something for them, they'll be aware of it and you'll have the chance to re-engage. Does anyone have any questions on what I just shared?
Totally agree with you. I hear what you're saying, Mike. It's not a question. It's more of a testimonial to what you're saying, because I do work with emails now on an affiliate program with some other professionals, and it's been really showing success, which I would never have thought about because I've been away from emails so long. I just refuse to get back to them. It's like I thought they'd be antiquated at best. Why did it disappear 20 years ago? But now I see a new way of using them I didn't see before. I was using them more for connect with my social media groups, but now, well, everything you just said is true, but I also now notice there's other avenues to be using it, funnels, affiliate programs, connecting, networking. So yeah, I think email, I have to apologize for it. It has the ability to really make a difference in your careers.
Yep. Well, there's definitely a time when social media got better and email got worse. And then social media got worse and spam filters got, email getting better. Spam filters got better. And so there was definitely a time when social media was a place to be and email was, is that still a thing? But
it's interesting. I've talked to some people who have been using emails for the last 6 years, and that's now their full-time job. So it's like there is something there. I highly recommend everybody, including myself, to start focusing back on emails and the way it can be used to, brand your own business, whatever career you're in.
And Eco, did I see your hand up?
Yeah, I did have my hand up briefly. Getting people to go and actually respond to my emails or even open them in the first place has been a challenge. On like the reports that I have on my list, I've gotten about, I've got about 400 people, and for those who have opted out, the emails go out to maybe 300 people. Mm-hmm. So the open rate is about 25% for those who do get it sent out to them. I think a lot of them are actually going to like the promotions folder, and I'm not sure how to get them to not go to the promotions folder. And I've only gotten like maybe 2 or 3 people total per email to maybe respond if I ask them to respond.
Yeah, so those numbers are actually pretty good, except for the two. I mean, with the right ask, you should be able to get maybe 3% to respond. That's what I find. Yeah, 25% is a great open rate. Above 25 is even better. But yeah. But
also the subject lines. The subject lines is like, no mean to interrupt you, Michael, but the subject lines will determine where it's going to go or not be seen at all.
Yes.
Because email has logarithms that will determine. So I noticed that here's a suggestion. If you can use your email blast software, I don't know, some don't have this capabilities. I don't know about Monkey. Try sending it to you, see if it has that option to send it to you first, or send it to you first to see what happens. Because what happens is it might sound right. I noticed that the ones that look like a lot of it's like spam, a lot of dollar signs or a lot of specific symbols or words in specific go straight into the other spam or promotion. When they come across as more like you're talking to somebody instead of trying to sell them something, it goes to the email. But what I do is I send it to me first and see if it comes into my spam or promotion. Then I said, okay, gotta change the words. Plus also keep them, I found out the secret number is somewhere between 6 and 8 to the subject line. If it starts to get too big, it's again, the math would start to look at it, go and wonder what this is, and maybe it might be promotion, maybe spam. So it should sound more like you're talking to someone. 6 to 8 words be perfect. Be careful with too much excess symbols. Some will work, but some will, trigger the flag of the machine. I've seen that with me. So once I see it come to me, then I'll send out the blast to everybody else. And I've noticed sometimes it didn't come to me, so I know, okay, I got to change something. That's how I kind of preset it before I send it out, because it greatly increased my my viewing and clicking, opening, and response rate. But 25, Mike is right. That is pretty good.
Yep. The other thing to keep in mind is look at where the numbers are low. If you're getting 25% open rate but no one's replying, then it's not the subject line, it's the content, because 25% of people are opening it. And thing to remember too is that just because they open it doesn't mean they read the whole thing. They probably read the first sentence or 2 sentences. So if that first 2 sentences grab them, then they'll read the next one. Then they'll read the next one. Then they'll read the next one. But each sentence needs to keep them coming, and you can't assume that they're going to make it all the way to the bottom just because they opened it. So if you have a thick block of text and then an ask at the bottom, they may never get to the ask. So it's the other thing you can do is depending on your email software, you can do A/B testing. So some have the option to change it in some way, 2 different subject lines that randomly go out to the 2 different audiences. I don't do that because that sounds like organization. There's a lot of planning that goes into A/B testing, but it's a really good way to learn how to do it. And most people who are really good at it, they basically figured out the basic principles and then A/B tested their way to where they wanted to be. Any other questions or thoughts?
Michael, I have a question. This is Ken.
Yes.
I'm currently using LinkedIn right now, and I don't know if it's successful or not because I don't have anything to compare it to. So I don't have a good comparison. But the thing I like about it is I can isolate either an industry or a territory that I want, and I can get plumbers in Louisville, Kentucky if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about recreating that kind of format in your email? How do you get your leads to send to? Are these people you've met or contacted with?
Yes. So I do. So this is in some ways part 2 of a 2-part program. But part 1 is I go to a lot of networking events. And in the course of that, what I've been teaching a lot more previously was like how to meet 10 to 20 people. And I think a lot of people are like, yeah, okay, I do that. Now what do I do with them? But the short form is I go to a lot of online networking events, whether it's, so I'm in BNI, I'm also in Success Champions Networking, which is more quality over quantity. BNI has a national, a weekly national networking event. Gabe O'Neill runs a national networking event. There's a whole bunch of other ones out there. So when I go to one of these, I'll have a Calendly link. So I can put that Calendly link in the chat and I can say, hey, I'd love to do one-to-ones with anybody. And then they will all sign up for one-to-ones. And then once you're on the one-to-one, then you're asking specifically for, do you know any plumbers in Louisville, Kentucky, or whatever it is you're looking for, and asking in that way. And the problem I was running into was I got too good at that part, and I would fill my schedule, and I think I've done as many as 15 or 18 one-to-ones in a week, which when that's an untargeted activity is not productive, but does connect you with a whole lot of people. So, so LinkedIn, like you're doing, is the lead acquisition side of this. But then what you can do is have some kind of email list that provides some kind of friendly value. And then you can and give them a reason to sign up. So for example, I do a daily motivational message, a motivational podcast. And on that, and you can go to the website and sign up for that, in which case you'll get the daily update and you'll be on my regular email lists. So I'll talk to someone and say, hey, I do a daily motivational message. Do you want to get it? And they're like, oh, of course I do. And they sign up for that. Now they're on my list, and now they're into that system. So you can do it with, I previously, when we were meeting in person, I had a weekly email update with all the networking events in Southeast Connecticut, which is where I am. So instead of having to go to 4 different chamber websites, you got one email right in your box, told you about everything coming up that's on their calendars currently. So I provided something of value. And it was always, I'm thinking, what do they want? Because I was publishing magazines. Nobody wanted to hear about magazine marketing. So my email wasn't gonna be anything of that. It's going to be about, like, if I'm meeting people at networking events, they probably want to hear about networking events. If I'm meeting people in the networking coaching space, they probably can't get enough motivation. So they like motivational messages. So it's about giving them a reason to do that, and then getting them off the LinkedIn platform into your email platform.
Got it.
Yeah. So take what you're doing and yes, and. Any other questions?
I've got another question,
Yes.
Michael. What is your experience and perspective on including videos, or like starting off like a video in an email that you're sending out to your list?
I haven't done much with videos, partly because when I used Kartra, it was overly challenging to add videos to it. So I know some people have gotten great results from video. I don't have a lot of personal experience with it. You just need to make sure that it's embedded in the right way, that it's easy for them to watch it, and make sure the email works if they don't watch it. Because sometimes I'm, going through my email, sitting on the couch while I'm watching TV. I'm not going to leave the room to go watch a video or pause TV or, disturb people around me. And also sometimes I'm quickly checking my email because that's how I keep it from piling up. So I can, quickly archive the things I don't want to look at right now. And I'm only going to have a couple seconds. So video can be a good thing. I would say go ahead, try it, experiment with it, and see what works for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. The other thing I'd say too is some people are better at writing, some people are better at video, some people are better at audio. Is kind of hard to put in there, but some people are better at talking and some people are better at writing. So if you're great at talking and not great at writing, use more video. If you're great at writing, not great at talking, don't use video. Because video is going to make it take longer, be more of a process to do it.
Sure. Part of the reason that I ask is what I've noticed is that most of anything that I've put out there just in pure text form is what has fallen flat.
Mm-hmm.
And in my experience of what has had people actually pay me cash money for some kind of service is after they've had some kind of visceral experience with me, being able to feel my energy, see me, hear my voice. So part of me is like, okay, going more towards video seems to be more effective, and I've yet to figure out how to consistently go and do that or effectively do that with the actual email list.
So there's a couple ways to do it. I know there's something called Loom, I believe it is, which is a service that does that. I don't know how it works, but I'm pretty sure it's what it does. You can post a YouTube video and make it unlisted. So unlisted means anyone with the link can see it. And depending on I know MailChimp has a embed YouTube video, which all embedding the video is it takes the thumbnail, puts a little play symbol on it, and makes it so when you click on it, it pops up, plays YouTube. And some platforms have that as a one-click thing. Some have it as like you have to build it, and it takes a little bit. But putting a video in there is basically thumbnail with play button on top of it. That is a link to a YouTube video. Will get the job done. All right. So I think unless there's any more questions.
Well, I guess I have kind of a more general question, because it seems like this approach is really only good for people that, well, like yourself, or authors, podcasters, coaches, what have you. Like if I'm trying to maintain contact with people that I know from, science conferences, for an example, that's my deal, or people that might be associated with certain industry positions that have an engineering or scientific association. I don't see like starting a podcast to keep in touch with them. Like it doesn't seem to be computing very well for me.
Yeah, no, so I'm glad you asked. That is a very good question, a very useful question. So this can be good for anyone who wants to keep in touch with people, basically. So if you're meeting people through other scientists or whatever that might be, you might ordinarily send emails to them individually saying, hey Paul, how you doing? Hope things are good. But the challenge there is it's someone you met at a conference once. What are you talking to them about? Do you remember anything about them? What are the details? Instead, you probably have things you might share with them, whether they're articles or information, opinions, thoughts, fears, dreams, stories, whatever. And so almost kind of like the traditional Christmas card, but once a month or twice a month or whatever. And of course, you're not trying to get a particular kind of engagement from them. You just want them to remember you're alive and that they know you. So you could do something. So, and then this was something like MailChimp is for, where it's free, and you can tell them, hey, I have this fun little newsletter I share. I share a couple of, I don't know, fun science memes and science articles on it, like once or twice a month, as I feel moved to do so. Do you want me to put you on there? And they're like, oh yeah, sure, why not? So with you, if you're not selling anything, then you don't fall into the trap of having to be like, okay, how do I monetize this? How do I get the call to action? You don't even need that. You just kind of send it out. And humor is often a good way to get a response, because if you send out a funny cartoon, XKCD comic or whatever, then they're going to reply like, oh man, that's hilarious. And then if you want to talk to them, you can reply to that and now you got a conversation going. And if you don't, you just let it ride. But it keeps that conversation open and keeps that engaged, so that if you do run into them at the conference next year, then when you see them, you're going to run into people you don't remember meeting who are like, oh, Paul, I love your newsletter. It is so great. It is so much fun. And it's probably the work of 30 minutes a week to just remember to save any funny things you find or whatever the theme is that you want to do. But it works just as well, and in fact probably even better, because you're not trying to get particular action, you're trying to maintain contact. That makes sense?
It does. Thanks.
All right, and Kristen.
Thanks. My question pertains to the fact that currently I am lead generating through Facebook in virtual events. I'm in a direct sales industry for the rest of you, and that seems to be the hot place to be to meet people across the country. Mm-hmm. Now I can Facebook message them. I can leave a video message. I can leave an audio message, which is very engaging. But I'm trying to find a comfortable way to ask them, I'd like your email address, first if they want to be on the mailing list, and then getting the email address. I've used a Google form, and I still can't understand why people have trouble filling those things out. They're not hard. But it's probably because it's taking them away from Facebook to give personal information to someone who's relatively a complete stranger. And I'm trying to figure out if there's a better way to encourage them to give me that one piece of information. It's not like I'm asking for a social security number or their credit card number. I'm just, again, like you said, I have a newsletter I put out. It's usually very visual, doesn't have video necessarily, although I might borrow the idea of putting a video on my VIP group, like pinned to the top as an announcement. It's like, welcome to the group. Nice to meet you. This is me. So I'm stealing Eco's idea of having some video for that type of personality, but it's getting them to give me an email address, because the younger people, they do everything on the phone. And I say younger than me when I mean younger. Yeah. And they tend to do Facebook message to the point where it's like, I can't put everything I want to say in a Facebook message, or I can attach the image, but they have to click it open to see the actual visual newsletter. Whereas usually with an email, it's right there as either an attachment or an embedment. And I use a mail merge system because I got tired of MailChimp. And like you said earlier, I have an A list and a B list and a C list. And knowing what types of products those people are interested in, I use a slightly different worded email, but they all get the same newsletter. But I'm drawing attention to different features of the newsletter based on what I already know about them. And
Yep.
that's usually where I get that from the Google form. Like, what excites you most? What do you want to learn more about?
So the key is that you have to give them a reason to do it. So someone's going to give you, people will give you their email lists perfectly freely. They'll give you a social security number perfectly freely. I've probably been given hundreds of social security numbers in my time. I sold life insurance. And it is remarkably easy to you call someone on the phone who's never spoken to you before, get an appointment to get into their house, and then have them give you their entire medical history and all their personal information. It's not super easy, but it's easier than you think it would be. So getting someone's email address isn't that hard if you give them a reason to do so. If I call you up and I'm like, hey, Chris, what's your social security number? You'd be like, what the hell do you want it for? But if I'm coming out for a reason, it's amazing what people have shared with me on sales calls when I was in sales, because it was in the proper context. And yeah, I've almost never had someone when I ask their email address say no. Because I give them reason. I say, I've got a daily morning motivational message. Would you be interested in being on the update list for that? Oh yeah, I would. I've got a resource list. It goes out every week.
About freebies. Yep.
Yep.
That's how I get my emails. I have either something that they're interested in already put in a video in my YouTube channel, and I just give them the link. I said, if you give me your email address, I'll send you the link, and no problem. Or I give them a free ebook or something that, something that they're going to enjoy. Or I refer them to one of my affiliates, but I tell them, listen, give me an email and I'll send you to this, other professional. He'll answer these questions, all that. And they go, oh, that's great. So they think, oh, I got two professionals for the price of an email when now I got the email. Forever.
Yeah.
Well, since I'm building content on YouTube, perhaps what I can use is that as the carrot. If you'd like to be able to check out this playlist, give me your email. I'll send you the link. And, once a month I send out a newsletter. Would that be okay? And kind of just get a little permission from them to say, sure, go ahead and send that too.
Yeah, there you got it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the other thing I find when I put people onto an email list is I generally imply, you're going to be added to a list. But I assume most people know how to use an unsubscribe button. Oh, they did run into someone today who didn't know how to use one. She just put the emails into spam instead of unsubscribe, which is not what you should do. If you want to unsubscribe, because putting it into spam. Now, if you're getting an email from someone you really don't like, put their emails into spam, because that will mess up their ability to send out emails. But if you don't hate them, unsubscribe to the list. And if you're sending emails and you get an unsubscribe, you see, okay, one person subscribed. Bless and release. They are not meant for you. At first I was worried about oh my God, what if I send out too many emails and unsubscribe? Well, then they unsubscribe. Okay.
Also, I'm sorry. Also, just before I forget, because Michael just reminded me, I'm doing this my YouTube videos now, and I kind of knew about it, but forgot it. Took into consideration, I assumed, and they can't read our minds. But talking to some of my BNI clients, I've said that I want to see your channel, but I don't have, I don't have access to it, and I want to see your new videos every so often when they come up, and I say, well, the thing is, people are getting confused with the little bell icon and the subscription. They think if they subscribe to my channel, which is not the same as liking. So if you like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, 3 different things happen. Liking helps me to brand myself more. Subscription also helps me to brand myself more. But if you would like to get, little, dings on your phones or on your email telling you, reminders, oh, by the way, a new video just come up from Angelus. Would you like to see it? Hit this link. You got to hit that little bell icon. Some people don't even know about that. And so you got to educate your email people, because people want to subscribe thinking, what, I'm going to get a notification every time a new video comes up, and I never get a notification. You got to let them know. Hit the little bell icon if you want notifications. Otherwise, by subscribing, you allow us to support people like yourselves in the community even more. They like stuff like that.
All right. Well, thank you all for the questions. I'm going to stop the recording because I realized that the 12-minute video I'm going to put on YouTube is going to be like 34 minutes. So we learned valuable things, but we can still keep chatting because now we're going to leave the talk portion and go into the mingling portion. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all at home. And for those of you who are watching at home, conference21.com. The live Club 21 meetings are every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, daylight or standard, depending on the time of year.